As the last wisps of sunlight faded, the forest trembled. Trees creaked and swayed, their branches tangling like skeletal fingers. In the heart of this darkness, a figure emerged. Kaelin, a hunter of renown, moved with the silence of a ghost. Her eyes, like two polished onyx stones, scanned the shadows as she followed the faint trail of disturbed leaves and snapped twigs. The scent of wet earth and decay clung to her like a shroud, a morbid perfume that only the forest dwellers knew. Her gaze paused on a gnarled beech, its bark twisted into a face that seemed to scream in silence. The tree's eyes, two cavities of darkness, appeared to watch her as she passed. The rustle of small creatures, the hooting of owls, and the distant howl of a wolf created a symphony of unease. Kaelin's hand instinctively drifted to the curved knife sheathed at her waist. Her instincts whispered warnings of an imbalance, a dissonance that threatened to shatter the delicate harmony of the forest. A faint hum, like the vibration of a harp string, began to resonate through the air. The trees seemed to lean in, their branches intertwining as if to listen. Kaelin's heart quickened, her senses on high alert. Something ancient, something forgotten, stirred in the depths of the forest. The hum grew louder, a gentle thrumming that resonated through every cell in Kaelin's body. The trees, once mere spectators, now seemed to be orchestrating the melody, their branches swaying in rhythmic harmony. The sound was hypnotic, drawing Kaelin deeper into the heart of the forest. As she walked, the trees grew taller, their trunks thickening, their canopies a deeper, richer green. The air was heavy with an otherworldly energy, and Kaelin's senses reeled from the sheer force of it. The hum reached a crescendo, and suddenly, the forest plunged into silence. The trees stood still, their branches motionless, as if holding their collective breath. In the stillness, a figure emerged from the shadows. Tall, imposing, and shrouded in mist, it moved with a deliberate slowness, its presence both captivating and terrifying. Kaelin's hand tightened around the hilt of her knife, her heart pounding in her chest. The figure's face, a death's mask of pale skin and sunken eyes, was a void that seemed to suck the life from the air. The trees, once again, appeared to be watching, their branches leaning in as if to better observe the unfolding drama. Kaelin's gaze never wavered, her eyes locked on the figure as it drew closer. Its presence was a palpable force, a darkness that threatened to consume everything in its path. And yet, despite the terror that churned within her, Kaelin felt an inexplicable sense of connection, as if this creature held the key to unlocking the secrets of the forest. The mist-shrouded figure halted before her, its eyes, two black holes, fixed on Kaelin with an unblinking gaze. The air was heavy with anticipation, the trees seeming to hold their breath as the silence stretched out like a taut bowstring. Then, in a movement that sent shivers down Kaelin's spine, the figure raised a hand, and a tendril of mist curled from its palm. The misty finger extended, hesitated, and then touched Kaelin's forehead. A jolt of electricity ran through her, and suddenly visions exploded across her mind's eye. She saw the forest in all its primeval glory, teeming with life, vibrant and untouched. She saw the ancient magic that coursed through the land, a power that had shaped the trees and whispered secrets to the creatures that dwelled within. But she also saw the decay, the rot, and the corruption that had crept in like a thief in the night. She saw the delicate balance of the ecosystem shattered, the natural order upended, and the very fabric of reality fraying at the seams. The visions whirled, a maelstrom of images that left Kaelin gasping, her mind reeling from the sheer scope of what she had seen. As rapidly as they had begun, the visions ceased. The misty tendril retreated, and the figure's hand fell back to its side. Kaelin's eyes refocused, her gaze meeting the figure's, and for an instant, she thought she saw a flicker of sorrow, regret, sympathy. The expression was gone before she could grasp its meaning, leaving only the enigmatic mask. The figure spoke, its voice a low, musical hum that resonated through Kaelin's very being. "You have seen the truth, Hunter. The balance is broken. The natural order is unraveling. You have been chosen to restore the equilibrium, to heal the wound, and to still the discordant note that threatens to shatter the harmony of the forest. Kaelin's mind reeled, the weight of the task settling upon her like a crushing burden. The figure's words hung in the air, a challenge that seemed to reverberate through every molecule of the forest. Kaelin's thoughts swirled, her mind grappling with the enormity of the task. She, a mere hunter, was being asked to rectify the fundamental imbalance of the natural world. "Why me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What makes you think I'm capable of restoring the balance?" The figure's mask-like face remained impassive, but its eyes seemed to bore deeper into Kaelin's soul. "You have been chosen because you possess the resonance," it said, the word hanging in the air like a tantalizing mystery. "Within you, the frequencies of the forest still hum in harmony. You have walked the paths of the ancients, and the ancient magic has brushed against your soul." Kaelin's hand instinctively went to the small, intricately carved wooden pendant that hung around her neck, a token from her grandmother, a wise woman who had taught her the old ways. The figure's gaze seemed to follow her movement, and it nodded. "Yes, the echo of your grandmother's knowledge resides within you. You have been prepared, Kaelin, though you may not yet realize it." As if in response, the trees seemed to stir, their branches rustling in a soft, anticipatory murmur. The wind picked up, carrying the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers, and the air was filled with an expectant hush. "What do I need to do?" Kaelin asked, her voice firmer now, as if the weight of the task was settling onto her shoulders. The figure raised its hand once more, and a small, glowing seed materialized in its palm. "Plant this seed in the heart oak, the ancient one that stands at the forest's center. The heart oak is the nexus of the forest's power, and the seed will awaken the dormant magic within. The balance will be restored, and harmony will be reestablished." Kaelin's gaze locked onto the seed, its gentle glow illuminating the path ahead. The task seemed simple, yet she sensed the complexities and dangers that lurked beneath the surface. She took the seed, its warmth infusing her palm, and nodded her acceptance of the challenge. The figure's face seemed to nod in approval, its mask-like features softening ever so slightly. As Kaelin turned to depart, the figure's voice halted her. "Remember, Hunter, the forces of discord will not relinquish their grip on the forest without a struggle. You will face trials, and the path ahead will be treacherous. But know that you are not alone. The ancient magic will guide you, and the forest's creatures will lend their aid." Kaelin nodded, the weight of her mission settling heavier with each passing moment. She hefted the glowing seed, its gentle pulse a beacon of hope in the darkness. As she ventured deeper into the forest, the trees seemed to part before her, their branches whispering encouragement. The moon, now a silver crescent, cast an eerie glow over the landscape, illuminating the twisted forms of ancient, gnarled trees. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, and Kaelin's senses were on high alert as she navigated the treacherous terrain. The forest grew increasingly twisted, the trees contorting into unnatural shapes as if they, too, were warped by the discord that plagued the land. Kaelin's footsteps slowed, her heart pounding in her chest, as she approached the clearing that nestled the heart oak. In the center of the clearing, the ancient tree towered, its massive trunk twisted with age and power. The air around it seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly energy, the sap that flowed through its veins pulsing with a magic that was both ancient and wild. Yet, as Kaelin approached the heart oak, a dark, tattered figure emerged from the shadows, its eyes blazing with malevolent intent. A growl, low and menacing, rumbled from the figure's throat, and Kaelin knew she had finally encountered the first of the trials that lay ahead. "You shall not pass," the figure rasped, its voice like the scraping of dry leaves. "The heart oak will remain in darkness, and the balance will remain shattered." Kaelin's hand instinctively went to the hilt of her knife, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. She knew that this was but the beginning of her journey, and that the trials ahead would test her courage, her wits, and her resolve. The dark figure, its presence seeming to draw the light out of the air, took a step closer to Kaylin. Its eyes burned with an unnatural hunger, and its presence sent a shiver down her spine. The forest, once a sanctuary, now seemed to be closing in on her, the trees looming like sentinels guarding a dark and ancient secret. Kaylin's hand tightened around the hilt of her knife, her mind racing with strategies and tactics. She had faced many dangers in the forest, but this was something different. This was a creature born of darkness, a manifestation of the discord that had ravaged the land. As the figure drew closer, its presence seemed to awaken a power within Kaylin. The seed in her pocket began to glow with an intense, golden light, and she felt an energy coursing through her veins, a primal power that connected her to the land itself. With a fierce cry, Kaylin drew her knife, its blade flashing in the moonlight. The dark figure laughed, a sound that was almost a scream, and lunged at her with a claw-like hand. Kaylin parried the attack, her knife biting deep into the figure's arm. The creature howled, its form beginning to shift and writhe like a living shadow. The battle raged on, the two combatants exchanging blows beneath the watchful eyes of the forest. The trees seemed to be holding their breath, their branches frozen in anticipation, as if the outcome of this fight would determine the fate of the forest itself. Kaylin's knife sliced through the air, striking true again and again, but the dark figure refused to fall. It was as if it were fed by the discord that plagued the land, its power growing with each passing moment. Just when it seemed that the creature would overwhelm her, Kaylin remembered the seed's gentle glow. She reached into her pocket, and the golden light burst forth, illuminating the clearing and casting the dark figure back. In the sudden silence, Kaylin approached the heart oak, the seed's light illuminating her path. She reached out, and the seed began to glow with an intense, pulsing rhythm. The ancient magic, sensing its chance, began to awaken, its power coursing through the forest like a mighty river. The dark figure, its form beginning to dissipate, let out a scream of rage and frustration as Kaylin reached out to plant the seed in the heart oak's ancient bark. The fate of the forest and the balance of the natural world hung in the balance as Kaylin's hand hovered above the seedbed, poised to restore harmony to the land